So coming back to your question, why is Bitcoin going up? Bitcoin is going up because it's a solution to 8 billion people's problem, because people on the left want it, because people on the right want it, because the technologists need it, because it's so decentralized. It's a virus. You can't stop it. If you want to give music or joy to 8 billion people, you need digital music. And if you want to give an education to 8 billion people, you need digital education.
Very true.
And if you want to
Very
give
true.
wealth to 8
Very
billion
true.
people, you need digital property.
100%.
You just can't do it. You can't give the human race wealth, and you can't give them economic security unless you have a technology that allows you to let them buy $387 of property for zero cost, move it at the speed of light, and decompose it and recompose it and carry it on a $50 phone in their pocket. If you have that, you can give economic empowerment to the entire world. And it's a nice to have if you live in a rich city in North America, but it's a matter of life or death if you live in a hyperinflating economy. Afghanistan, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, all of Africa. Do you know that there are 66 countries for us that have dollarized? What that means is, you know what it means to dollarize? I'm going to give you another metaphor.
They take the American dollar, correct?
It means that your currency collapsed.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I want, again, take your best fighter, take your best athlete, put them on life support on a ventilator, and transfuse them with blood. That's what it means when you're dollarized. It's like you're on life support in a hospital because your own organic system won't live without being on life support. You've got 66 countries that don't have functioning currencies. Now, what's the problem with that? The problem is they can't buy the dollars because they don't have banks. So if I turn off your currency, and if you can only get dollars through a foreign bank, and you can't get a bank account, then you don't have property, or you can't store your life forces energy. And so it's a real humanitarian problem. So coming back to your question, why is Bitcoin going up? Bitcoin is going up because it's a solution to 8 billion people's problem, because people on the left want it, because people on the right want it, because the technologists need it, because it's so decentralized. It's a virus. You can't stop it. And it's an idea whose time has come. And lastly, if you look at the history of the human race, fire was harnessing chemical energy. If you look at how the Romans beat everybody, they didn't do it with hand-to-hand fighting. I mean, they did it with ballista and catapults and missile weapons. They would stand back and they would blast kinetic energy 400 to 800 meters away. If you trace through the history of mankind, fire, water, electricity, explosives, right? Jiu-jitsu. Why does Brazilian jiu-jitsu win? It's a more efficient system for combat, right?
Correct.
Bitcoin is more efficient than gold. It's more efficient than fiat money. It's more efficient than storing your money in an Airbnb rental apartment. It's just the most efficient energy system. And rational people everywhere in the world, they're looking at it saying, why wouldn't I want to store my money in a property that is the apex property of the human race? I talked to one guy in Istanbul today, and I said, if you have money in Istanbul, you can put it all into a second house. Maybe a tourist in Istanbul will want to rent it via Airbnb. Maybe someone in Istanbul will buy it from you. Maybe a bank in Istanbul will loan you money against it. But you're talking about 0.1% of the world being interested in your property. But if you put your money into Bitcoin, I want the Bitcoin. If you put your money in Bitcoin, no property tax, it'll last 1,000,000 years, 1,000 years. It's not going to decay. It doesn't get rained on. You can loan it to anybody in the world. Any bank in the world might give you a loan against it, right? So you can use it as collateral anywhere in the world. You can generate rent on it anywhere in the world. And in the day when you need to sell it, every wealthy person on earth is going to want it, right? So that's why it's apex. And the question is, why is it going up? Because it's better than everything else, you know? And if you think there's something else that's better than that, yeah, then you buy that. But I have searched the world over and I considered 1,000 things. I can't find anything better.
Bitcoin. If I take $100 worth of Bitcoin or $100 worth of American currency, which one of these two will preserve my energy better and why?
The US currency is going to lose energy anywhere from 7% to 25% a year. It's
Right.
a fiat, or the US dollar is a battery that's draining at 20% a year right now. Gold is a battery draining at 2 or 3% a year right now. Bitcoin is a battery that doesn't drain.
It's charging.
Doesn't drain. In fact, it's charging. It's been amping up at 100+% a year.
It's
Right.
deflationary.
And when I give you the money, you have the option to convert the $100 into Bitcoin immediately. You could also go the other way and convert the $100 into pesos. Okay. And if you look at the last year, if you converted the $100 into the S&P, you'd be up 27%. If you bought a typical house, you'd be up 25%. If you bought Bitcoin, you'd be up like 400%. If you held it in dollars, you'd have $100, but the $100 wouldn't buy as much as they would have bought last year. So Bitcoin is a battery. I mean, you can think of these, all assets are repositories to store energy or to store money. If you want to call it money, you want to call it energy, you want to call it work, right? They're all just different ways to store that energy over long periods of time. What's the worst one? Like the Venezuelan bolivar. It's the worst one, right? That's awful. Yeah. If you took the money and you bought electricity, pure electricity, if I give you $1 million of electricity and you put it in the best battery, you lose 2% a month. So pure electrical energy loses 24% a year. And if you wanted to move the electricity 100 miles on a line, well, you need the line and you lose 6% of it, right? So you can store your money in different things and they all decay. Look, you can buy sheep with it. You can buy hamburgers with it, right? I mean, you can buy packaged food with it. So some things last a long time, other things don't. But here's the really big problem for us. All these other things you can buy, like let's say, you know, you're coming back to John Locke. John Locke said, you spend an entire year and you build a house for me and I pay you a certain amount of money. Well, so you take the money and you buy your own house. Well, you don't really own your own house. In the physical world, if you own a house or you own a herd of cattle or you own a bunch of gold, those are all spoils of war. I can take them from you.
True.
Right, with violence.
True.
I can take your house. I can tax your house.
Very true.
Right. The problem with gold is I can just murder everybody and the gold's still there.
Might is right sometimes.
Okay. So if you look at the history of humanity, Bitcoiners are pretty passionate. There's
Very
a lot of
true.
religious conviction. You see our laser eyes on Twitter?
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Well, here's the big idea. For the first time in 10,000 years, we have invented a form of digital property, a form of property that you can truly own that is not spoils of war. You cannot seize Bitcoin with violence. And so gold is war. If you study, all through history, it always ends with, the Romans or the whatever sack the city, kill everybody and take the gold, right? Nobody ever burns the gold. They always take the gold. It doesn't matter whether the people live. So I can take your gold. I can take your land. I can take your house. You have a company, well, the government, like in Cuba, in Venezuela, they're going to expropriate your company. In Zimbabwe, you have a ranch, they take the ranch. So if you have anything in the physical domain, I can take it. And if you disagree, I can still take it. And, occasionally I might negotiate with you, but there's not really an incentive for anybody to negotiate. I can either just take 10% of it via tax or just take it all.